Hi, I'm Carly Henry. I am a teacher with the Delaware Autism Program. I've been a teacher of children with autism for about 13 years now. I have a self-contained class of 5 students in a regular elementary school called McClary Elementary. My students are working on a first grade level. I have 5 students, and I teach them in my self-contained classroom for the majority of the day. But they do go out for science, social studies, lunch, recess, and then the specials, music, library, art, and gym. Um, my paper is about formative assessment, and when I started my paper, I'm not sure that I was really that aware of the difference between formative and summative assessments. I just knew that with my students, I had to do a daily, almost minute to minute check on where they stood when I taught new material to them. And even when I was reviewing old material, my students need a lot of review and a lot of generalization teaching whenever we sit down at our table to work. So learning about formative assessments and summative assessments when it pertained to more of a general ed population was what my goal of this paper was. But in the meantime, I had journeyed into the idea of PLCs because this year I was sort of thrown into the first grade PLCs. In the past, because I was a teacher with students with autism, I didn't really necessarily participate in PLCs. But since my students are almost on grade level, I decided that it would be a really good idea to participate in these PLCs, and it's been very interesting. It's been very rewarding at the same time. And one interesting thing that I've learned is that even though my students learn differently from the typical student, in these PLCs, when I'm looking at ELA, and we were talking about ELA in the PLC, I've learned that even though my students, when we read a story, they might be able to really read through a story because they can just really read almost anything. They're really having a lot of trouble with reading comprehension. One story I can think of was we read a story that's basically The Boy Who Cried Wolf. It was called Jack and the Wolf. Now, my students really could not get the nuances of this story, Jack and the Wolf. But the students, the typical students, they knew everything about the story, they no problem. But they had a hard time with the phonics of the story. So in our PLCs, we were able to develop some formative assessments for myself and for the typical teacher, and still be able to, in the end, have a great summative assessment that was able to deal with both. So that is the story of my formative assessment. Thank you.